Imagine waking up to freezing cold, starvation, and endless labor, not for a crime you committed, but for a system that didn't care. Daily life in the Soviet Gulag was relentless. Backbreaking work from dawn to dusk, tiny rations, disease, and constant fear. Every day was a fight to survive, and even small mistakes could be deadly. If you enjoy these short human stories from history, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps. Also, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. All right, tonight, we're stepping into what daily life was really like for Soviet Gulag prisoners.
It's 4 in the morning in 1937 in the Soviet Union, and the pounding on your door isn't your neighbour's bass heavy music. It's the NKVD, Stalin's secret police, your crime. Who knows? Maybe you were 5 minutes late to work yesterday. Maybe you told a joke about Stalin's moustache. Maybe your neighbour wanted your apartment and told the authorities you were plotting against the government. The reason doesn't matter because you're already guilty. The two men who burst into your room don't look at you as a person. To them, you're just today's quota. They have a number of arrests to make and you're number 7. As you groggy try to understand what's happening, they're already tearing through your few possessions looking for evidence. A book with a suspicious underlined passage, a letter from a cousin who fell out of favour. Anything will do. You're given 10 minutes to dress and pack, 10 minutes to say goodbye to your life. What do you take when you might never return? Your warmest clothes, certainly, though you have no idea how inadequate they'll be. Some family photos, maybe. If the officers allow it, they usually don't. The hardest part, if you have a family, they're watching in silent terror. Your spouse knows better than to protest. Your children stare with wide, confused eyes. Everyone understands that making a scene will only result in more arrests. This scene plays out in apartments across the Soviet Union. Every single night, hundreds of thousands of similar goodbyes whispered in the dark. The Black Raven, that's what everyone calls the ominous black prison van, is waiting outside. Inside, you find yourself crushed against other confused, terrified people. Some are crying silently, others sit in shocked disbelief. A few veterans of the system stare ahead with empty eyes, already conserving energy for what's to come. The interrogation that follows makes no sense because it's not supposed to. It's theatre. Logic has no place here. You're asked to confess to absurd crimes, to implicate friends in conspiracy plots that never existed. The interrogator, blur-eyed from an endless shift of extracting confessions, doesn't care about the truth. He cares about meeting his quota of confessions. Just sign, he says, pushing a document toward you. It'll be easier for everyone. Some resist for days, weeks, even through sleep deprivation and beatings, but eventually nearly everyone signs. What choice is there? The system isn't designed to find truth. It's designed to feed the camps. After your trial, a 3 minutes formality where your signed confession is read aloud, you're sentenced. 10 years is standard. 10 years of corrective labour for crimes you didn't commit. You want to laugh at the absurdity, but you're too exhausted to manage even that. The journey to the camps is where the real horror begins. Prisoners call it ETAP, transit. You're herded into train cars meant for cattle. 80 people crammed into a space designed for 8 cows. There's one small window covered with bars and a hole in the floor for a toilet. The stench becomes unbearable within hours. Make room for the living, a prisoner shouts when someone collapses. It's not cruelty, it's necessity. In this packed rail car, every square inch matters. The dead are pushed to the side, sometimes stacked in corners until the next stop. No one can afford to give them more space than that. The journey can last weeks, depending on your destination. The most feared camps are in Kolyme in the far northeast of Siberia. Getting there means not just the train ride, but also a sea voyage on ships just as crowded and filthy as the trains. Prisoners call these ships floating coffins. Many don't survive the journey. The food on the transport is a daily ration of about 300 grams of bread, roughly the size of your fist, and soup so thin it's practically hot water with a rumour of cabbage. This isn't enough to survive on, but that's by design. The weak will die on the journey. The system considers this efficient. Water is often more precious than food. Sometimes the train stops and guards distribute water. Sometimes they don't. Prisoners has been known to lick the condensation off the metal walls of the car. In winter, they eat snow passed through the small window. In summer, many die of dehydration. Sleep is nearly impossible standing up, but prisoners develop a system. They take turns sitting or lying down. They learn to sleep in 20-minute shifts, standing up, leaning against each other like fallen trees. Your muscles scream from the strain, but eventually exhaustion wins over discomfort. The guards check the cars at stops, sometimes pulling out the dead, sometimes not bothering. They don't see people, just cargo. One guard, barely 20 years old with a baby face, casually mentions to another that yesterday's train lost 43 pieces of cargo to the cold. Not people, cargo. You drift in and out of consciousness, losing track of time. Days and nights blur together. The rhythm of the train becomes your heartbeat. The smell of unwashed bodies, excrement and fear becomes so constant you stop noticing it. Your world narrows to the next ration of bread, the next sip of water, the next chance to close your eyes. You learn to spot the signs of someone about to die. A certain vacant look in the eyes, lips pulled back from the teeth in a grimace, breathing that becomes shallow and irregular. When you see these signs, you move away if you can. Not from cruelty, but because when they collapse, there will be a brief, violent scramble for their bread ration and their space. This is what the system has reduced you to in just a few weeks. One morning, or maybe it's afternoon, it's impossible to tell. The train finally stops. The doors slide open with a metallic shriek. The light is blinding after the darkness of the rail car. As your eyes adjust, you see it. Endless white snow stretching to the horizon, broken only by wooden watchtowers and barbed wire. The air is so cold it feels like knives in your lungs. "Welcome to your new home," a guard says with a smirk. "You'll be here until you die, or your sentence ends." "Mostly they die," he adds to another guard, not bothering to lower his voice. "You've arrived at the edge of the world. This is no ordinary prison. This is the Gulag, a place designed to extract every last ounce of labour from your body before it fails." As you stumble down from the train on legs that barely remember how to walk, you realise with perfect clarity your old life is over. From now on, there is only survival. Not like your warm bed right now with its soft blankets and comfortable mattress. Not like your safe heated room where hunger is just a brief sensation before a full meal. The contrast between that comfort and the Gulag's harsh reality couldn't be more stark. The guards are shouting, organising the new arrivals into lines, men to one side, women to the other. Those who can't stand are thrown onto sleds like firewood. They might be taken to the infirmary, or they might be headed straight to the mass graves that ring the camp. You don't know yet that the infirmary is often just a stop on the way to those same graves. What you do know with absolute certainty is that your survival depends on what happens in the next few hours. The coat that seemed warm enough in Moscow is laughably inadequate here, where temperatures routinely drop to 40 degrees. The shoes that were comfortable for city walking will cause frostbite within hours of working outside. Your new reality is beginning to take shape. Every prisoner around you is thinking the same thing. How do I survive this? What deals do I make? What skills can I trade? Who do I need to befriend or avoid? Because in the Gulag, these aren't just social questions. They're the difference between life and death. As you shuffle forward in line, a prisoner already in camp uniform whispers as he passes. Whatever work they assign you, try to get transferred to the kitchen or the hospital. Those who work outside in winter don't last long. It's your first lesson in Gulag survival. There will be many more to come, each paid for in suffering. But for now, you focus on putting one foot in front of the other, moving toward the processing center where your camp life officially begins. The wooden building ahead has smoke rising from its chimney. It looks almost cozy from a distance, which makes it all the more jarring when you get close enough to read the sign. Labour is a matter of honour, glory, courage, and heroism. Below it, scratched in smaller letters by some prisoner's desperate act of defiance, work to death. Welcome to the Soviet Gulag system. Your time starts now. The processing centre is a flurry of dehumanising efficiency. First comes the shaving. Every prisoner's head is shorn to the scalp, regardless of gender. The guards laugh as women sob watching their hair fall to the floor. Men clench their jaws, trying to maintain some dignity. It's not just about hygiene or preventing lice, though the camps claim that's the reason. It's about stripping away identity. Next comes the disinfection. A shower with water so hot it scalds your skin, followed immediately by freezing cold. The shock of it makes people scream. Some older prisoners collapse from the sudden temperature change. No one helps them up. Then the uniforms. Not really uniforms at all, but a hodgepodge of whatever is available. Jackets with mismatched buttons or no buttons at all. Pants too long or too short. Boots that rarely match your foot size. Too large and they cause blisters that become infected. Too small and your toes freeze. Everything is worn, patched and perpetually damp. Nothing is warm enough for the Siberian climate. Name barks an administrator without looking up from his paperwork. You answer. He writes something down, then assigns you a number. From now on, that's your identity. You'll answer to it, work under it, potentially die with it as your only epitaph. Your existence has been reduced to digits in a logbook. Profession, he asks next. This is crucial. Those with useful skills, doctors, engineers, cooks, might land slightly better positions. Those without skills will be sent to general labour, which has the highest mortality rate. Whether your answer helps or not, the final step is the same. You're assigned to a brigade, a work unit, and a barracks. Then you're shoved outside again, clutching your meagre belongings to find your new home among the identical wooden buildings stretching into the distance. The barracks is so overcrowded that bunks are stacked 3 high with 2 or sometimes 3 prisoners sharing each one. There's no privacy, no space to call your own. The air is thick with the smell of unwashed bodies, the sickly, sweet odour of infection, and the smoke from the small stove that does little to warm the vast space. A prisoner who's been there longer explains the system as you try to find a place to sleep. Work assignments come at 5 tomorrow morning. Food rations depend on how much work you do. Don't steal from other prisoners. They'll kill you for a crust of bread here. Don't trust the criminals. Don't cross the guards, and don't get sick. He pauses, seeing the overwhelmed look on your face. Then unexpectedly he offers a small kindness the corner of his own sleeping space. First night's the hardest, he says. After that, you either learn to live with it or you don't live long. As you lay your head down on the hard wooden bunk, you realise you haven't eaten since the train. Your stomach gnaws with hunger, but the kitchen is closed until morning. Around you, prisoners cough, cry out in their sleep, or speak in hushed tones. Someone is quietly reciting what sounds like poetry. Someone else is silently weeping. The reality of your situation crashes over you in waves. 10 years in this place. You've been here less than a day, and already it feels like an eternity. How will you survive a decade? How will you survive the winter that's only just beginning? Outside, northern lights dance across the sky, beautiful and indifferent to the suffering below. Inside, you close your eyes and try to remember the face of someone you loved in your previous life. It feels like grasping at smoke. The Gulag has a way of erasing everything but the present moment, and the present is nothing but cold hunger and fear. Tomorrow will bring your first day of work, your first test of whether you can adapt to this new reality. For now, exhaustion pulls you toward unconsciousness. Your last thought before sleep claims you is simple. I have to survive. Whatever it takes, I have to survive. From somewhere in the barracks, a prisoner begins to hum a folk song from home. Others join in silently, afraid to make too much noise, but desperate for this small connection to the world outside. It's a moment of humanity in a place designed to destroy it. And right now, these brief moments are all that separate the living from the dead. Morning comes too soon, announced by a guard banging a metal rod against a rail. The sound cuts through your fitful sleep like a physical blow around you. Prisoners jolt awake, already reaching for their boots. They move with practiced urgency. Being late for morning roll call is punishable by reduced rations or worse. Outside, in the pre-dawn darkness, your breath forms clouds in the frigid air. Stars still glitter overhead, obscenely beautiful against the bleakness of the camp. Guards walk the lines, counting prisoners as they shiver in formation. Some prisoners sway on their feet, weak from hunger or illness. If they fall, they're dragged away. Nobody asks where. As the sun finally breaches the horizon, casting long shadows across the snow, you get your first real look at the camp in daylight. Watchtowers loom at regular intervals along the perimeter fence. Guards with rifles pace along walkways, their breath visible in the cold. Beyond the fence is nothing but taiga, the vast Siberian forest that forms a natural prison. Even if you could somehow get past the fence and the guards, the wilderness itself would kill you within days. Today, announces the camp commander, a squat man with a face like folded dough. We begin construction of the new railway spur. Quotas have been increased. Anyone failing to meet their quota will have their rations reduced. A collective tension runs through the assembled prisoners. Increased quotas mean more deaths. Everyone knows it, including the commander. He doesn't care. In fact, there's a certain efficiency to it. The weak die faster, saving the state the trouble of feeding them. As the prisoners disperse to their work assignments, an older man falls into step beside you. "First day, huh?" he asks quietly. "Stick with me if you can. I've been here 3 years. I know how to stay alive." You look at him with surprise and hope. 3 years is an eternity in this place. Maybe he really does know something about survival. Name's Mikhail, he says. Former engineer from Leningrad. Got 10 years for telling a joke about Stalin's moustache at a dinner party. My host reported me the next morning. He laughs. A dry sound with no humour in it. Some joke, eh? 10 years for 10 words. As you trudge toward the work site, Mail continues his impromptu orientation. Rule 1. Conserve energy whenever possible. Never work harder than you have to. The guards want to see motion, not results. Look busy, move slowly, and save your strength. He demonstrates as you reach the work site, picking up a shovel and moving snow with deliberate, unhurried movements. It looks like he's working hard to an observer, but you can see how he's minimizing actual exertion. Rule 2. He continues between shovelfuls. Food is life. Never give up your ration. Never share unless you're getting something better in return. Eat every crumb, lick the bowl, and if you find food, hide it. The moment you start giving away food is the moment you start dying. Around you, hundreds of prisoners are clearing snow, digging through the frozen ground or carrying materials. Many look like walking skeletons, their uniforms hanging off emaciated frames. They move like automatons, eyes fixed on nothing, conserving even the energy it would take to look around. Rule 3, says Mail, nodding toward a group of ruffle-looking men who aren't working as hard as the others. Stay away from the criminals. The political prisoners, that's us. We're at the bottom of the hierarchy. The criminals run things among the prisoners. They steal, they hurt people, and the guards let them because it keeps us divided. You watch as a guard walks past the loafing criminals without comment, then stops to shout at an elderly man who's struggling with a wheelbarrow. The contrast is stark and deliberate. Divide and rule. The fundamental principle of the Gulag last rule, Mail says, his voice dropping even lower. Find something to live for. Family outside God. Revenge. Doesn't matter what. Just something to wake up for. The ones who die fastest are the ones who lose hope. You nod, trying to absorb all this information while also keeping your shovel moving already. Your hands are stiff with cold, and you've been working less than an hour. How will you last a full day? How will you last 10 years? Mail seems to read your thoughts. 1 day at a time, he says simply. That's all anyone does here. 1 hour, 1 minute. If that's all you can manage, just keep breathing, keep moving, and don't think too far ahead. The morning crawls by in a haze of exhaustion and cold. By the time the lunch break is called, you can't feel your toes and your hands are raw. Despite the rags you've wrapped around them, the promised meal turns out to be a ladle of thin soup, mostly hot water with a few cabbage leaves and the occasional potato and a small piece of bread. Mail shows you how to eat slowly, savouring each bite, making the meagre meal last. The bread is everything, he explains. The soup just keeps you warm for a while. The bread keeps you alive, around you. Other prisoners are employing various strategies. Some gulp their food immediately, desperate to quell the gnawing hunger. Others, like Mail, eat methodically, making it last. A few are making trades, a portion of soup for a bit more bread, a cigarette for an extra potato. My wife and daughter are still in Leningrad, Mail says suddenly. I think about them every day. That's my reason. What's yours? You consider the question as you chew your last bit of bread. What is worth surviving for in this frozen hell? The answer will be different for everyone, but finding it is the difference between life and death in the camps. As the whistle blows, signalling the end of the brief lunch break, Mail stands with a grimace of pain. "Back to work," he says. "Remember what I told you. Move like you're working hard, but save your strength. We've got 8 more hours before dinner, and that's when the real cold sets in." You follow him back to the work site, mimicking his deliberate movements. Already you're learning the choreography of survival, the dance between doing enough to avoid punishment and conserving enough energy to stay alive. It's a delicate balance, one that every prisoner must master or perish. The afternoon stretches endlessly, the sun already beginning its early winter descent. Your muscles scream with fatigue, and hunger has settled into a constant companion in your gut. But you keep moving, keep breathing, one shovel full at a time, 1 minute at a time. Mail works nearby, occasionally catching your eye with a nod of encouragement. Around you, other prisoners have noticed your connection to the veteran, which offers a small measure of protection. Not much, but in the Gulag, every advantage matters. As darkness falls, the temperature plummets further. The guards grow more irritable, shouting and occasionally striking prisoners who slow down. Everyone is eager to finish, to return to the relative shelter of the barracks. But the quota must be met or everyone suffers. Put your hands in your armpits when the guards aren't looking, Mail advises during a brief pause. Frostbite will kill you faster than hunger. If your fingers go numb, you can't work. If you can't work, you don't eat. Simple as that. You do as he suggests, the small warmth, the momentary relief. It's hardly comfortable in your cosy bed, but it's survival. And for now, that's enough. Finally, the day's work is deemed complete. The exhausted prisoners trudge back toward the camp, a dark line of figures against the snow behind you. The day's progress on the railway spur is barely visible, a shallow trench carved from the frozen earth, a few metres of track laid. Tomorrow you'll do it all again, and the next day and the next, until the railway's built or you're buried alongside it. Back in camp, the evening meal is similar to lunch. Thin soup and bread with the addition of a small piece of saltfish for those who met their quota. The nutrition is inadequate for the calories burned during work, ensuring a slow starvation even for those who receive full rations. After dinner, prisoners have a brief period of free time before lights out. Some mend clothing with precious scraps of thread. Others carve small items to trade, cups from birch bark, spoons from wood, crude needles from bone. A few gathering corners to whisper stories or recite poetry remembered from better days. Mikhail introduces you to a small group of his friends, other political prisoners who have formed a loose alliance for mutual protection. There's Anna, a former university professor sentenced for possessing banned books. Pavel, an accountant who made the mistake of questioning production figures, and Dmitri, a factory worker arrested simply because the NKVD needed to fill a quota of arrests. New arrivals come and go, Anna explains, her once elegant hands now calloused and cracked. Most don't make it through the first winter. We try to help when we can, but she trails off, the unspoken reality hanging between you. In the Gulag, survival often means making hard choices about who to help and who to let go. As you settle onto your shared bunk for the night, aching in every muscle, Mikhail offers one final piece of advice. Tomorrow will be harder than today. Your body isn't used to this work, but the day after will be a little easier, and the day after that, if you make it 2 weeks, you might make it 2 months. If you make it 2 months, you might make it a year. And after that, he shrugs. After that, you're one of us, the lucky ones. Lucky. The word seems absurd in this context, but as you look around at the survivors, gaunt, hardened but alive, you understand. Luck plays its part, but so does adaptability, intelligence, and sheer stubborn will. These are the tools of survival in the Gulag, as essential as bread and warm clothing. As exhaustion pulls you towards sleep, you wonder what version of yourself will emerge from this experience, assuming you survive at all. The Gulag doesn't just work the body to destruction, it transforms the soul, forcing impossible choices and stripping away everything but the most elemental human drives. Tomorrow brings another day of labour, another test of endurance. But for now, you've survived your first day in the Soviet Gulag. It's a small victory in a place where even breathing feels like an act of defiance against a system designed to crush the human spirit. The last thing you hear before sleep claims you is Mail's voice quiet in the darkness. Remember, one day at a time, just one day at a time. You wake to the sound of the barracks door slamming open for a brief, blissful moment. You forget where you are. Then reality crashes back, the hard wooden bunk beneath you, the smell of unwashed bodies, the ache in every muscle. You've survived your first night in the Gulag. Up, up now, a guard shouts. Bang is truncheon against the wall. Around you, prisoners move with practiced efficiency. No one speaks, no one complains. They pull on their boots, straighten their threadbare jackets, and move toward the door like sleepwalkers. You follow, still clumsy with exhaustion and unfamiliarity. Mikhail appears at your side. Sleep okay? He asks, his voice low. You want to laugh at the absurdity of the question, but you're too tired. Sleep had been fitful at best. The bunk too crowded, too hard, the barracks too cold despite the bodies packed inside. Roll call, Mail explains, happens in the dark during winter, makes the days feel even shorter. Outside, the prisoners form neat lines in the pre-dawn blackness. The temperature must be 30 below zero. The cold seeps through your clothes as if they're not even there. Your teeth chatter uncontrollably. The guard moves down the line counting. When he reaches you, he pauses. New meat, he says flatly. You won't last till spring. Beside you, Mail stiffens but keeps his eyes forward. Don't respond, he whispers, when the guard moves on. Never give them a reason to notice you. After roll call comes breakfast. A thin gruel that might have once been oats with a chunk of dark bread. The bread is frozen solid. Mail shows you how to tuck it inside your jacket against your body to thaw it enough to eat. The bread is sacred, he says. Never eat it all at once. Save some for later when hunger hits hardest. You notice that the veterans cut their bread rations into precise portions with small pieces of wire they keep hidden in their clothes. Some even sleep with their remaining bread, afraid it will be stolen during the night. As everyone files out for the day's work assignments, Mail steers you toward a squat man with a clipboard. Work assignment officer, he explains. Your job determines if you live or die. Outside work in winter is death sentence. Inside work means survival. The assignment officer barely glances at you. New arrival, railway construction. Mail steps forward. Comrade, this one has engineering experience, could be useful in the workshop. The officer narrows his eyes, suspicious of this advocacy. Who says I worked with engineers in Leningrad? You lie, picking up on Mail's cue. Factory design mostly. The officer snorts. Workshop's full. Railway. He makes a notation and waves you on. Mail sighs. Worth a try. Railway work is hard, but it could be worse. It could be logging or mining. Those will kill you in weeks. Outside the main gate, prisoners are divided into work brigades. Each brigade has a leader, not a guard, but a prisoner given authority over the others. The brigade leaders are hard men with hard faces. Their position means better rations and less brutal work, but it also means being responsible for meeting quotas. Our brigade leader is Stefan, Mikhail says, nodding toward a tall, gaunt man with a scar running from temple to jaw. Former Red Army officer, tough but fair, won't sacrifice you to save himself, which is rare enough. Steen is assigning tools, shovels, pickaxes, spades. The tools are precious commodities counted carefully at the beginning and end of each day. Losing a tool means punishment for the entire brigade. Comrade Engineer, Stan says when you approach using the lie you told earlier. His eyes are evaluating, not hostile. Mikhail vouches for you. That's enough for now. Take a shovel and stay close to him. Learn quick or die quick. Only two options here. As your brigade marches to the worksite, Mikhail continues your education. Camp runs on a hierarchy, he explains. Guards at the top, obviously. Then the trustees, prisoners who work for the administration. Below them, the criminals, the common thieves and murderers were at the bottom. The politicals. Anyone arrested for a political crime, speaking against Stalin, showing up late to work too many times, having relatives abroad, being too educated, basically everyone who isn't a real criminal. The work site is a frozen hell. The railway spur being built extends from the main camp into the wilderness. Today's task is clearing snow and ice from yesterday's work, then continuing to dig the rail through the frozen ground. Your shovel clangs against the ice-hard earth, sending painful vibrations up your arms. Within minutes your hands are numb despite the rags wrapped around them. Your breath forms ice crystals in your nose with each exhalation. Nearby, a prisoner who looks even more skeletal than the others suddenly drops his shovel and clutches his chest. He crumples to the ground without a sound. Two guards walk over casually, discuss something between themselves, then drag the man away by his feet, leaving a dark trail in the snow. Heart attack, male says flatly. Common enough. Body can't handle the strain and the cold together. They're not taking him to the infirmary. Mikhail gives you a look of pity. He's dead. They're taking him to the morgue pit. In winter, they don't even bury the bodies until spring thaw. Just stack them like firewood. You stare after the guards, watching as they disappear around a bend with the dead man. It seems impossible that death could be treated so casually. But in the Gulag, you're learning death is the most common occurrence of all. The work continues hour after hour. The sun barely clears the horizon before beginning its descent again. The short winter day offers little warmth and less comfort. Prisoners move mechanically, conserving energy and warmth, speaking only when necessary. At noon, there's a brief break for food. The ration is the same thin soup and bread. You sit with Mail and a few others from your barracks, huddled against the wind. How many die? You ask Mail. He shrugs. Winter takes the most. Maybe 1 in 10 prisoners each winter, more in bad years. Summer brings different killers. Dysentery, tuberculosis. The weak die first, but even the strong don't last long without luck. A prisoner you don't recognise sits down nearby. A heavy-set man with a gold tooth that glints when he smiles. Unlike most prisoners, he looks well fed. His jacket is in better condition, and he's wearing mittens instead of rags on his hands. "Oh, who's that?" you whisper to Mail. "Verona, criminal prisoner, food distributor at the kitchen." Mail's voice drops even lower. Be careful around him. He trades food for favours, but his protection costs more than most can pay. As if hearing his name, Verona looks over and grins. "Fresh meat," he says, nodding at you. "When you're tired of starving, come see me. I can help for a price." Before you can respond, Mail cuts in. "He's with us, Verona. Engineering Brigade." Verona's grin doesn't falter, but his eyes harden slightly. "Everyone needs friends in this place, Engineer. Remember that when your political friends can't help you," he stands, brushing snow from his pants with well-fed nonchalance. What did he mean by that? You ask when Verona is out of earshot. "Criminals run their own system in here," Hannah explains from across the circle. "They steal, they trade, they control what little comfort exists. The guards let them because it keeps us divided. Criminals hate politicals. They think we're soft, educated fools. But not all criminals are like Verona," adds Parville. "Some are just ordinary people who stole bread to feed their families. The real Vori, the professional criminals, they're the dangerous ones." "Or Vori Vzakone," Mishael explains. "Thieves in law. They have their own code, their own laws. They never cooperate with camp authorities, never work if they can avoid it. They steal and extort to survive. The whistle blows, ending the lunch break." As you stand to return to work, you notice Verona watching you from across the yard, his gold tooth catching the weak winter sunlight as he smiles. The afternoon drags on endlessly. Your muscles scream with exhaustion, but stopping means freezing, so you keep moving. The numbing cold has one mercy. After a while, you stop feeling the pain in your hands and feet. Mail warns. This is dangerous. A sign of frostbite setting in. Wiggle your fingers and toes whenever you can, he advises. Frostbite will get you sent to the infirmary, and many who go there never return. As the weak winter sun begins to set, the guards call for the day's production to be measured. The brigade has fallen short of its quota. The frozen ground too hard, the workers too weak to make sufficient progress. Steen, the brigade leader, argues briefly with the guard in charge, pointing to the rock-hard ground, the inadequate tools. The guard is unmoved. He makes a notation in his book that will mean reduced rations for everyone in the brigade. The march back to camp is silent, heavy with exhaustion and the knowledge of hunger to come. At the gate, guards count the prisoners and inspect them for contraband. Anything from the work site that might be fashioned into a weapon or tool for escape. An older prisoner ahead of you is found with a small piece of wire hidden in his boot. The guards pull him aside for punishment. No one looks, no one speaks, there's nothing to be done. Back in the barracks, prisoners engage in the evening rituals of survival. Some examine their feet and hands for frostbite. Others mend tears in their clothing with crude needles made from fish bones. A few gather in small groups to share whispered conversations, precious moments of humanity in an inhumane place. You collapse onto your bunk, every muscle quivering with fatigue. Mail sits beside you, offering a small bundle wrapped in a scrap of cloth. "Here," he says, "extra bread just for tonight. Tomorrow you're on your own." The gesture brings unexpected tears to your eyes. In this place where selfishness is survival, kindness is almost shocking. "Why help me, you ask?" Mail is quiet for a moment. "I had help when I first arrived. A man named Yuri taught me what I'm teaching you. He died last winter. Pneumonia." He shrugs. "Besides, more hands make lighter work. Brigade needs strong workers to meet quota. You understand the practicality beneath the kindness. Nothing in the Gulag is purely altruistic. Survival depends on calculation as much as compassion." As you eat the gifted bread slowly, savouring each crumb, Anna joins you and Mail. Her face is drawn with exhaustion, but her eyes remain alert. "I've been thinking," she says quietly. "The new one needs proper mittens. The hospital has a mending room. I know someone there who might trade." Mail nods. "What's the cost?" "Half a bread ration. It's an enormous price. Half a day's nutrition. But you understand now that frostbite-bitten hands mean death as surely as starvation. Just more slowly. I can pay, you say, though the thought of giving up food already makes your stomach clench." Anna shakes her head. "Not your bread, mine, but you'll owe me." She gives you a tired smile. "Nothing comes free here. Remember that. This is your introduction to the complex economy of the Gulag. Everything has value. Food, clothing, tools, medicine, even knowledge. Prisoners trade what little they have to fill their most desperate needs. A broken spoon might be worth a few puffs on a cigarette. A needle could be traded for an extra ladle of soup. Everyone calculates constantly, weighing needs against resources. Or first rule of trading, Mail advises seeing your interest, never show desperation. Second rule, never trade all of anything. Keep something back, you never know when you'll need it." The barracks door opens, admitting a gust of frigid air and a prisoner you haven't seen before. He's shorter than most, with quick, darting eyes that take in everything. Several prisoners nod to him with what looks like respect. "That's Isaac," Mail whispers. "Camp doctor. Unofficial, of course. The official doctors barely treat politicals." Isaac was a surgeon in Moscow before his arrest. Now he trades medical help for whatever he can get. "What was his crime, you ask?" "Jewish," Mail says simply. "That's enough these days." Isaac makes his way through the barracks, stopping to check on several prisoners. He changes a crude bandage here, examines a swollen joint there. Finally, he reaches your group. "Or new arrival?" he asks, eyeing you professionally. "Let me see your hands." You hold them out, red, cracked, already showing signs of the damage to come. Isaac clicks his tongue disapprovingly. "You'll lose fingers like this," he says. "Maybe worse." From a hidden pocket he produces a small tin of what looks like grease. Bare fat mixed with pine resin. Rub it in every night. Not enough, but better than nothing. He hands you the tin, a treasure beyond price in this place. You stare at him, uncomprehending. "What do I trade for this?" Isaac's smile is tired but genuine. "First one's free. After that, we talk payment. Maybe you have skills I can use. Or you begin. Then remember the role you've claimed. Engineering design." Isaac nods thoughtfully. "Good. I need someone who can draw medical diagrams for teaching the assistants. Come see me when your hands heal enough to hold a pencil." After he moves on, you turn the small tin over in your hands, still bewildered by this unexpected gift. "Don't look so surprised," Anna says. "We help each other when we can. Not from kindness, from necessity. No one survives alone here." Mail nods agreement. "The authorities expect us to turn on each other like animals. Sometimes we do, but there's resistance and cooperation in remembering we're human. Small defiance, but they matter." As night settles fully over the camp, the barracks grows quiet. The small stove in the centre provides meagre heat, and prisoners huddle on their bunks, conserving warmth. Some cough, the racking wet cough that signals tuberculosis or pneumonia. Others whimper in their sleep, caught in nightmares no worse than their waking reality. You apply Isaac's ointment to your raw hands, the sharp smell of pine resin cutting through the barrack's stale air. The relief is immediate, a small mercy in a merciless place. "Tomorrow will be harder," Mail says, settling onto the bunk beside you. "Second day always is. Body rebels against what you're asking it to do." But the day after gets easier, and the day after that. How do you know I'll last that long, you ask? Mail studies you for a moment. Something in the eyes, he says finally. Some have already given up when they arrive. Walking dead. Others still have fight. You're still fighting. You're not sure if he's right. Fighting seems impossible in this place where every element, cold, hunger, brutality, is designed to crush resistance. Yet something in you refuses to be extinguished. A stubborn ember of selfhood that even the Gulag can't quite smother. As you drift towards sleep, you hear soft voices from a corner of the barracks. Someone is reciting poetry. Pushkin, you think, and others are listening in reverent silence. This small act of cultural remembrance feels suddenly inexplicably important. They can take your freedom, your health, even your name. But as long as someone remembers Pushkin, something of civilization remains. You close your eyes, adding another lesson to your growing understanding of survival. Find the moments of humanity.